Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Jay, and welcome back to another video. Today we will be going over the Heroes deck. Now, if you don't know, Heroes have been one of my favorite decks for one of the longest times. Uh, so today I wanted to go over my thoughts and a deck profile before I change my sleeves. Um, and you're like, why would you want to make? It's because I've been making alterations between this and I've been recording locals videos, just playing some of the things I made while I had the deck in this sleeve, and I'm moving more towards my final decisions on some cards in the deck. But this was the kind of deck profile I was using for the last couple locals. There has been maybe 2 or 3 changes, but we'll talk about them as we get towards them. And I thought I would go ahead and give you guys a deck profile and just my thoughts on some of the strategies that go into playing heroes. And we'll go through this pretty quickly. So first, we're gonna start off with 30 copies of Stratos, 1 copy of Elemental Hero Neos, 1 copy of Shadow Mist. Now we use 2 copies of Furnace. I'm thinking about bumping this card up to 3, and I'll give you my intentions why. Dust Crow. This card is also really good. This has potential to be bumped up to multiple copies. For test playing purposes, I thought it was the best at 1 because it was easily searchable. And not only that, but it was, the more I think about it, the easier it is to get the body on the board, which for right now, I think it's good at what it is. I think it does what it does. Now, we're playing Evil Hero package. The Evil Hero package includes Adjusted Gold. We have Dead in Prison, 2 copies of Evil Assault. Um, with this, I didn't have it in my initial build. The initial build had Liquid Soldier, and it had uh, 2 copies of End Shuffle, as well as Elemental Hero Neos, Spirit of Neos. My thoughts behind Spirit of Neos was, if you had summoned Stratos, right? The idea that you'd hope you'd get when you're playing Shadows is that his effect doesn't get negated. And if it does get negated, like hard negated, not just being able to dodge via targeting, you are stuck with a body on the board that might not be able to get you into anything, right? There's a lot of times where the hand is dependent on a 2 card starting situation, and you cannot get past the first starter. Um, with cards like Impermanence, uh, Imperm, Effect Veiler, these cards are dodgeable for Shadows because if you open up Furnace, get Mass Change, or open up Mass Change in your hand, you'd be able to avoid the targeting as he goes to the grave, right? But if you get ashed, and this is the card they choose to ash because they know that you're paying life points to summon him. It does hurt because then you can't get into your Ferris that will trade your militias off for advantage. Um, so my thoughts was, by putting an end shuffle, when they target Stratos and the effect ultimately gets negated, you'd be instead able to use end shuffle instead of mass change to fully swap him out for Spirit of Neos. Spirit of Neos will then make use of the regular copy of Neos, summoning him to the board and adding polymerization. Um, so with that being said, I thought that was a interesting development. Um, but I saw more success with the Evil Hero package, considering that if you're able to search it, or if you end up opening it, this becomes just a whole nother push in general. Going from Evil Hero Dusted Gold into Evil Assault, knowing that they've already used their Ash Blossom or any other effect that would, keep you from adding Evil Assault. Um, this is the biggest thing to get ashed in your combo, if you start with this may have a cost to discard a card first. So in some cases, you could discard Mally in order to get this resolving. But in the circumstances that it's not your opening card that you want to get to, this does make for a really good push, especially since cards like Dead in Prison will resolve with no interruption. You'll be sending a monster to the grave and having it as a fusion substitute. Um, so even if they end up trying to negate it, they're only negating the ability to fusion substitute. The thing I noticed that I was like, man, I really wish I had was a dusted gold should have a second card to search out of the three. Um, and I think maybe I don't know. like the idea of playing this at multiples because this would be a fairly good starter. Even if you open it in your hand, playing at two was just the option because that's the amount of slots I had available to fill. Um, but I would easily dump maybe one of these so that way you have a very particular target line of going a dusted gold, evil assault, specialing, dead end, or if you've already used evil assault on a draw and then you have dead end, you go evil assault, dead end, and then the dusted gold could find a way to make another fusion. Preferably, I think maybe Darkest Night would be a good fusion target for this. Using cards like um, what's it called? Dark Contact, where it would shuffle back cards because the biggest issue with heroes right now is that having all your cards in the grave after you've gone through your initial combo. So I think that would be something that I would change or try to figure out. And let's continue. We have Vion, increase, and 3 copies of Ferris. Okay, so the 3 copies of Ferris are mandatory at the moment because these are your 1.5 card starters. There's a lot of games that I notice at 40 cards because I try to play it at a slim 40 as much as possible. Increase showed up in my hand more with the least amount of cards in my deck. The moment I moved the deck up to 41, it was almost glued to my hand. But the moment I added it into 42 and 43, I saw this card less. I don't know if there's like a mathematical equation for it, but my best suggestion is that this deck might be best played at 45 with how many cards there are that are kind of like one of that need to be played. Um, and it could probably be better optimized for exactly what kind of card count you want. But for as of right now, I see a lot of people cutting Ferris and Stratos, and I actually don't think you need to cut them. I actually think they're really strong as your starters still. Um, and I'm only making this argument honestly because I have QCRs. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. You know, we like our QCRs. You know, you gotta play the most of them. I'm not gonna lie. We have 3 copies of Malicious. It's a very easy one with Denier. And the big thing that this brings out is why no Plasma? Some people will be like, why are you cutting Plasma? Plasma is your biggest weapon, biggest boss monster in the deck, right? And I want to give the argument that Plasma's a brick. I hate to say it, but Plasma is a brick. He's a brick. It's a brick house. Um, no, but the reason why Plasma doesn't fit in the deck, or at least my thematic theme of the deck, is simply because of card count. Um, and there are a lot of times where you will see Plasma in your hand sometimes in your opening hand, and there's nothing really you could do with the card. It it's cool for when games are established, but it's not something you want to open. It's okay to search into it, right? But that would mean that you would have to play more cards. And the last couple times I've been testing it, it's been close to 40. Only recently have been going towards like closer to 45 with the build, especially with how many one ofs there are that you kind of like don't want to see. If if you look at this deck as a whole, you have one, two, three bricks that don't do shit. Sorry. Um, but you have three bricks already. This is the equivalent of playing blue eyes, right? You have three bricks that don't do nothing, and there's no way to get into them. Okay. Um, you add plasma to that, then you have four bricks. Four bricks that do nothing. And then you have Neos on his own, too, that doesn't do nothing. Right? Like, Vion is another normal summon, which is cool. So this is the equivalent of like um imagine Sage with Eyes of Blue, and this is the equivalent of like Maiden, right? You're like, yes, you can play three of it each and have them be the starters, etc. And then this is like your Kaiba Man. This is like your one of in terms for like Kaiba Man, right? But the what else? Ferris. I don't know what Ferris would be. I guess this would be kind of like your primate ether barrels, right? That'd be like your primate ether barrels in terms of like card economy, right? Um, and if you look at it like that way, you're like, oh wow, this deck does play a lot of bricks, right? Because at least every other card now within the newer lineup does something. This one is like a two card combo. Let's be real. So when you open up a a two card combo with shadows and this, and then you might be able to play. Um, so it comes down to like smaller things like that. Um, so no plasma. It seems like it wouldn't be the format for it because a lot of decks can easily play around it. Um, and moving forward, I think the best option would to be hold off on having plasma be in the list for a while. Now we'll move on to some of the power spells. Obviously, we played three copies of A Hero Lives. This is your best starter. This is gonna get you easily into, your Stratoses, get your play started. We actually played three copies of Mass Change. Now I'm not sure of why people are lacking on it, but like I'm not gonna lie, I'm playing it because they're shiny. Okay, it just guilt trip me later. Um, I wanted to emphasize Mass Change in this build because I like the idea of being able to dodge your things. Like a hero, if you were to imagine an action film, right? Let's just say, you know, he's dashing into battle, and someone throws a Kamehameha at him, and he's like mass change, and then all of a sudden he vanishes, like insta vanishes, and you're like, what? Where the fuck is he? And he's like, he's behind you, and he's like, oh shit, you know, and then he has a whole new mask on, right? It's like, oh, where'd he go, bro? As he is because he was targeted for attack and now he's completely gone. He's a new person. Um, but I do like the ability to kind of evade my opponent, especially with a lot of cards nowadays that target. Um, and this also leads into some of the other cards that you could easily hit with mass change. You go Ferris, and then if you play through the Ash Blossom, they're gonna go Ferris effect, and then you're gonna be like chain, and it's either gonna be effect Veiler or it's gonna be imperm, right? Very rarely will it be like purge or impulse, or at the moment because it's not the season for it. Air quotes you won't be hit by Droll or Nibiru. It could be. I think a lot of competitive decks will be playing it because they're strong cards. But at my locals and at my testing, I've seen very little Droll and very little Nibiru activations. Um, the thing I think would be kind of a cool thing to kind of include might be that you guys are gonna fucking laugh. Okay, you're gonna be like, "That's stupid." Just imagine, just play with me here. Okay, three copies of Chaotic Element. Okay, three copies, one Jokel. Okay, okay. Just hear me out. Just hear me out. Just hear me out. Chaotic Element. Search out Jokel. Reveal Jokel. Reveal Vision Hero Ferris. Summon both. effect, optional effect, don't apply. Go into Canine Ripper. Uh, Start combo, normal summon Stratos. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. In my honest opinion, I think heroes need a monster that could benefit from a previous part of this engine that would give them a canine ripper, but in engine, right? Give them an ability to negate a monster effect from the grave and from the hand, right? Because in this case, cards like um, Ripper are really strong and they keep the deck from being interrupted. And me and from all the people I've been test playing, especially one of my friends who also plays a very combo deck, the reason why this deck will win, it will be because it went first and because it went uninterrupted. And I think that's something that this deck would need if it wants to be pushed any higher into that uh like tier 2 slash rogue area where it's like people aren't playing it because it's not meta, but it's stronger than any other meta contender or not meta contender, but like any other rogue contender, right? Right now, it's with the power scaling, it's kind of tipped back in to rogue, and most people are saying that it can compete, which I'm starting to see it, and it does make a lot of sense, but barely being able to compete doesn't mean like it's gonna top a YCS or a regional, right? And that's what I want to see for a deck that I love so much. I want to see it top into a regional. I want to see it top in a YCS. It doesn't have to win the YCS. I just wanted to know, you know, because of not just because of skill, but because of uh the cards are designed to help me win. Um, But yeah, anyway, I guess that was a really long rant. Mass change because I like the idea of being able to dodge my targeting. We play one copy and two copies of polymerization. I lied. I changed this. We play two copies. Um, this because with the new edition of Furnace, I'm able to search out polymerization or mass change. That's why I was like debating on bringing Furnace up to 3 actually, because being able to reveal, like, if you open up Furnace in your opening hand, it's so much more stronger a card because you're baiting out an Ash immediately. If you already have a Malicious in the hand, you could pitch it. Um, there's situations where Furnace is a much more stronger card in cards where you open up a Malicious, right? I think when you play 3, 3, 3, and 3, that's like the 4 to 3 is kind of like the ratio, right? Where you'll see these cards the most often in hand. I think something. I was watching. What was his name? Jesse. Jesse. He does math. I would have to look it up, but he's a YouTuber. He uses math. All right. Um. What's his name? Fuck. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Sorry. I'm derailing. Um. But he uses math to kind of give you the calculation, and he did that kind of with like the side deck. And he was like, if you play more than 3 play sets, here, let me give you an equation why you shouldn't do that. Um, and I think he's kind of right. I actually think there's a lot of reason to believe someone's right like that, Um, and I think in this case is like the strongest issue is that you get into cards where you need to pitch, or you get into cards where you need to surge to pitch the other one, and that doesn't feel good. It feels good better if you have what you need in your hand when you open it, right? Um, so adding an extra furnace to the to the set of cards that can pitch malicious makes it feel better. I think that's kind of the same thing in thought process behind Evil Assault. When I was originally playing like the evil hero, when it came out, was like, this feels good because it gets rid of this. This feels good because it gets rid of a dead card. Like, um, if you open up Fualos on turn one, and you're like, fuck, I have no starters. I gotta stop cursing. you activate Evil Assault, you pitch the Fualos, and then you actively turn the Fualos into an active monster, and now you're playing, right? So I think cards that turn dead cards into active cards is a better choice for the deck. Um, one of the issues I was trying to come across is how do I shuffle back increase from the hand. This is still something I'm struggling with, because there are times where this will open up in your hand. I think one out of like 4 games you'll find this in your hand, and for that fourth game, I'm just like, what's a card I could put in here that shuffle it back? Um, that's something I would have to ask you guys to see if you guys would have anything good to come up with. There's a one copy of Miracle Fusion, uh, one copy of Favorite Contact. In this build, I was playing Fusion Destiny because they do play DP in the extra deck. But this does not need to be played in this deck. Okay. As I said before, this in my head comes up way less than it doesn't resolve. It becomes um I don't know how you explain it. So normally you'd want to open up Fusion Destiny, resolve it, and have DP at the start of the board, right? I found myself not needing to use this when I drew into it, uh, because Malicious Engrave still went uninterrupted. You know what I'm saying? So like, if someone tried to Ripper the Malicious or Ghost Spell, etc., like they weren't doing anything to hit it. Uh, they pretty much they couldn't. They just couldn't. Um, in cases of starters, I get it. This is a good starter to get the engine going, and to obviously like +3 in in most scenarios, because not only are you getting DPE, but you're sending Malicious, which gets you another body, and you're sending Denier, which will recycle it and bring itself out, right? And then also get you into a search. So like I can't deny that this is a really strong card, but this card is probably best played in a different build where you might want to optimize for your dark monsters. Um, in my opinion, I don't like optimizing for this because we play the Neos version. So as long as you're playing Shining Neos Wingman, why are you using uh cards that would lock you in the dark? You get me? Um, my thing is that like things that could be interrupted during your play. Like imagine, I don't know. You guys bring it up in the comments. I'm sure y'all give me schmuck about it or something. We have 3 Ash Blossoms, 3 Imperms, Called By, and a Triple Tactics Talent. Uh, again, I didn't optimize for hand traps. My idea was like I'm going to optimize for gas. Um, thinking about it, I'm like these 6 spots. I mean, they don't have to be that. They don't, going first. Sometimes these cards come up. Going first, you could technically take out the imperms and the ash blossom, and put like Rhoda. You could put Foolish Burial. You could put um, Monster Reborn. I don't know, like one off cards that would give you more push. Hell, you could put 3 copies of whatever, right? Um, I thought in most cases, like you don't want your opponent going uninterrupted, and if you lose the die roll, maybe you have a chance to see at least 1 or 2 of them, right? So, with a strong placement of whatever the cards are, sometimes you could shut off one play in their hand. Um, yeah, there's very little hand traps in here. I also like the idea that like if you hold this on a Draco Tail board, um, it's a board breaker. Shout out to Sam. He kind of proved that. Um, yeah, that's my thought process behind my hero deck. Um, Will be changing it to kind of play a different alteration. Maybe the next build will be more focused on the Dark Hero lineup. You know, I mean, I want to give a good example of why I think Destiny Fusion isn't recommended, right? And don't take my words and twist it. I didn't say it was bad. I said it's not recommended to play. All right, I'm just saying. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's easily possible to play a Dark Hero version, or like an Evil Hero version with mass hero cards, you know, or optimized for masked heroes. You know, it's very easy to do as such. Um, just get off to the side. We'll bring up the extra deck. And then we got our custom field center. Shout out to my homie Blake from Locals. He's been a good friend to me for a couple years, and we got each other Christmas presents, and he surprised me with a what you call it. Now this is actually not in order at the moment, so give me a quick second. Okay, so first we'll go Shining Neos Wingman. This is a very strong card, especially in the arsenal. It's kind of obvious that it takes a Wingman monster and Element Hero Neos, and then it pops cards on the field equal to the amount of attributes that are present. It's really strong for that reason. Uh, we'll have Sunrise. You guys are kind of like skimming and seeing it, but it's fine. I'm sure you guys are all accustomed to it. But we have Sunrise, and then we have Elemental Hero Infernal Rage. These are really good. We have DPE, as we play DPE. So we'll just talk about the newest editions because I'm pretty sure generally the lineup is pretty similar. Contrast Hero Chaos, only available from the Jaden Strike Hero Strike deck. We played 2 copies. Okay. The reason why we played 2 copies is because I thought you'd be going into him more frequently, but I realized that this might be cuttable to 1. The only thing that feels really good is that if you happen to have the main mass heroes in the graveyard and you've kind of resolved their effects and you miracled or polymerization into the first one, you could miracle into the second one. And this is like a follow up play, usually. And it's a really strong follow up play considering that it's a face up negate. Um, and because it's kind of old timey wording, but it is technically a quick effect. You could easily shut down the next starter that they have. And obviously it's super big, so they can't beat over it. The next new addition that the heroes got was Voltic Thunder. I don't know. I'm holding it like this way. Sorry. I'm noticing that the glare. Is it better if I turn it off? I don't think. Watch. It's gonna fuck up the camera. Yeah, whatever. We'll turn it back on. The glare. Voltic Thunder is a. Why is this guy so bad? Anyway, Voltic Thunder. Um, Voltic Thunder is really good, but the thing I'm struggling to kind of like wrap my head around is the utility of having Voltic Thunder because every time I want to go into a board wipe, it is very difficult to go into a board wipe. I think this is also why I want more copies of Furnace, is because you could easily just normal summon Stratos, effect of Stratos, search Neos, and they'll be like, okay. And then you reveal, dump a card, and add polymerization, and you fuse, and your opening thing is GG's, there goes your board, right? And then you're like, okay, so you pitched Furnace for itself for polymerization, the first is in the graveyard, right? And you're like, okay, that means that if you normal summon Stratos and search an effect, you 2-card comboed literally into this. And I'm like, that's pretty good. But the odds of first card comboing into it are kind of slim, right? And you're like, okay, well then what do you do after that? Well, this is what I just thought of it right now. Holy shit. You go effect. Oh, well, I didn't think of this part, but I know you could attribute it because you use the normal monster. So in this case, you use Neos, right? And you go effect, attribute it, special summon back Shadows. Shadows affect the search. But in case of um, in case of the situation where you're like, oh, well, what do I search off of it to make sure that I have combo? Um, in most cases, you could search a dusted gold. A dusted gold would pitch itself to add evil assault, special summon, etc. And that would get you into your malicious combo too. But my thing is that it's really hard to get into this currently, because you need to search out shadows, and searching shadows becomes a really interesting component, especially if you're trying to play shiny neos. Uh, so in this case, this monster for breaking the board, you kind of want to prioritize it first, but it doesn't always pay off being the first, especially if you use your normal monster to get into it. Um, and then also use the poly to get into it before going into Wonder Driver. So it kind of tough. Um, it leaves you with less resources to get into your main play. Um, I don't know why I'm moving it around. Jesus. Okay. Um, Originally, this copy of Flame Wingman was Wake Up Your Elemental Hero. I did not see myself going into the old combo whatsoever. I did not see myself fusing off more fusion monsters to attack more times with Wake Up. Wake Up to me is just a card to get Shadow Mist, and it's really bad. But that's fine, you know. In this case, I wanted to actually try test playing Flame Wingman and adding Bursinetrix and Avion and taking out Neos, because if you get to the point where you have 2 material and a polymerization, it's better than having 1 material and a polymerization, because there's a lot of hands you'll get into an awkward position where you'll do your combo and you've used Cross Crusader to search out another part of the combo to maybe make DPE or Dark Law or etc. And then when you get into Infernal Divisor to reveal and search Neos, Neos is in your hand, and then you have the polymerization off of maybe the Vion combo or Furnace because you've already used a copy earlier, but this is your last copy. Um, and you're just like, damn, I'm in an awkward position. It's like I only have a polymerization in this, and I can't make any of the combos I would usually push from my hand board. So I'm like trying to test and come up with clearer ways. We have 1 and 2 copies of Dark Law. Obviously, Dark Law is Dark Law. Blast. This card comes up crazy. Um, it does work. It just does so much work. Effects to bounce back a spell and trap card. Target 1 spell trap. It's not even a face-up spell trap. So there's times where you'll summon Stratos, and you're like effect after mass change. Target like, you know, uh, Satan's Amino or like the cards that sit in the back row, like the continuous ones. And you're like, nah, GG's, you ain't recurring that. Like, oof, cards like this, oof, good. Uh, we'll hold on. I have a lot to talk about for Atomic. Infernal Visor, Cross Crusader, Wonder Driver, and Atomic. Atomic is such an interesting card too, because even though it sounds good in theory, you're not like every time I've gone into it, I have not resolved the mass change set on my turn, and then been able to resolve it on the next turn for like Dark Law. Um, I don't know why. I just don't. This card is like the weird boss monster. It's like it wants to come out. It has a utility. It's just not. It's just not doing it. The fact that it could be kind of a semi towers is kind of cool. Because hopefully you'd be able to go like this, and then maybe into what's his name? But just because you're not playing fire attributes, like the only time I feel like I go into this is that I go into this when Furnace is on the field, and Furnace is barely never on the field. If I was playing more hero monsters that were fire attributed, that would get me into this play. I think Mass Change is a good target. If so, my suggestion for anybody who likes Atomic but can't play them, I think maybe play copies of Element Hero Blazeman, the one that searches you to polymerization when he's normal summoned or special summoned, might be good. Because if they target to attempt to negate it, you can go Mass Change effect, turn into Atomic. Um, and then when Atomic hits the board, during your end phase, it'll reset the Mass Change you'd used that turn. Um, and then you could probably pass with like I don't know, Shadow Mist. Um, the thing that I'm hoping for the most is that when we get into hero cards, is that we get more cards that interact with us, or we can interact with our opponent. Being able to set Mass Change is a good consolation to being able to interact with your opponent. Um, and I think that's kind of generally what we're pushing for. This video is super fucking long. God, I gotta stop cursing. Super long, but we'll go over the side deck really quickly. Tactic stress for going second. Okay, you can kind of see that my main deck is all gas. So I am tempted to make a full 15 card swap to like a full 10 card swap for the side deck. And we did 3 copies of Dark Roller no more. Okay, you don't have to play my swaps, but like uh, when it comes down to it, I'm just saying. This reason why I'm saying you don't have to play mine is because I got really lucky and I pulled my copies of Forbidden Droplet. Okay, so Droplet has not come up in the format yet, and uh, I'm just gonna say that here. Uh, Droplet, Droplet's really good. It's probably one of the strongest cards I could play. Uh, Perulias, really good. These are very strong cards going second. The normal decks that don't care or do care about how many cards you have when you're playing against them, the Molcharmies are super good against. And that's my full 15 swap. The tactic stars are probably going to be the newer swaps that go in. This video was super long. I think I gave a good amount of conversation that will kind of give you guys something to chew over. Um, if you guys like my deck recipe or if you guys like this video, be sure to do all the things like and subscribe. If I'm gonna post this with no edits, just like this. Hopefully it gets posted. I guess I don't know. Um, what else? Thank you guys for watching. Uh, yeah, if you guys want more Yu-Gi-Oh content, I'll be filming locals for my own personal need for understanding and testing the deck, especially for understanding how like my opponents play on like a local level to get better understand their decks. But if you guys want to see locals content, I wouldn't be in mind to see if I could get permission to post it. And then obviously it'll help out on this hero's journey that we have. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Uh, I also have some box opening videos that I haven't posted. Maybe we'll get around to that. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to be a hero. It's hero time, baby.